in that situation, you may be able to poke him and it deters it, but 90% of the time it just pisses him off. You poke him, he turns around like, and then you might get a reaction bite out of it, and that's what you don't want. 100 miles out to sea, right? So we read them, and if it's time to get out of the water, we get out of the water. But most of the time we can read them pretty well, and
try not to poke them. What's the tip? What's the key? Right, a shark circling you.
Man. Learn to read them.
A shark circling you.
Yep.
There's blood in the water.
Yep.
What do you suggest somebody who's in the water in this circumstance?
We are so lucky to have you with us, Jaga. You traveled over 9,000 miles to come and be with us on the Goldberg and Rosen podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with us.
No, I'm stoked to be here. We've been through every shape and form of high and low water, and this is way different. But no, epic, man. Super stoked.
We've had
to be here. Yeah.
We've had these life and death experiences
all the time,
and now we're in the comfort of our office.
Yep, it's awesome. Yeah, 9,000 miles. We started we were, a couple of days we did Mexico, then we come up visit the grandparents in Ohio, freezing cold, and now down here again. So bring the cold weather with us, I think, but we're good. We're good.
Let's introduce you to the audience, and we're going to show them the picture of the fish that broke the internet. that fish.
It does the rounds. So
having young kids,
mm-hmm.
I can tell you that my kids my boys especially love playing with dinosaurs. And I guess you're a young kid that never grew up because you're out there hunting dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's what we do for sure. Like that fish. Probably your biggest and first one is ingrained and etched. It'll never go away, eh? Never go away. The thrill of the hunt, the thrill of the kill, it never goes away. and that one especially, man. Those mirror calm, flat calm days where you've got to, you put everything weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and planning. And you guys know we've done it. And then it all comes together. It's all over in 3 minutes, but it's never ever forgotten. And that was one of them moments. So.
It never comes back, right? Because that spot has completely changed.
Completely changed, yeah. It's probably more than, that fish was more than 10 years ago now. And, we've had good days on it since then, but it's never been as wide open as it was when we found it,
Take us through that. Where are we, generally speaking? You don't have to give away the spot.
Yeah, we can't give away the spot. All right, hold on now.
Generally speaking.
We're remote. Remote. That's it. So, remote as we can get on the eastern skirts, of Fiji and the South Pacific. There's a million islands there, so you can. You spend a lifetime there looking for the spot. You ain't gonna find it. It's they're everywhere there. And I'd been out searching these areas for months in my little tinny, we started out in a small boat and we're throwing 44s full of fuel on the floor. We're sleeping on the deck, just trying to get further than anyone could go there. Cause obviously it's pretty limited. There's no ice, there's no fuel, you're not sleeping anywhere. You stop where you land and you go from there. You hope for the best. Weather's hard. It's just hard to get there. That's why it's so good. And you get that very little opportunity when the weather gods are like, right, time to go, and you need to go. And we did that. I was with a great bunch of guys from actually a bunch of Hawaiian divers had come over, and they'd all shot wahoos before, but obviously it's a different breed of fish than the fish they get there. They're monsters, So we packed up, we jumped on a less than average old fishing boat that did about 6 knots. We had 8 guys bunk sleeping, in the bow getting belted, and it wasn't ideal. Very different than how we like to travel now. But we made it happen. We traveled. It was about 120 miles from the main island. A day and a half to get there, non-stop to get there, and glass out weather. Had the day diving, and all day we were, the clients shooting fish. They've all shot personal best, big wahoos, and we watched them swimming around all day. and it was like 5:30 in the afternoon.
And when you just so everybody understands, like when you're diving, you're not using scuba.
No,
you're not in a shark cage.
no.
You're in the middle of the ocean, in the middle of the Fijian,
Middle of the South Pacific.
South Pacific.
Yeah.
And if something goes wrong, someone gets hit,
you're in trouble. You've got to really keep your wits about you and play it safe and smart. You know, like that's smart is the key word. Like, you know, learn to live dangerously. That's learn to be safe while you live dangerously, sort of thing. That's the way to be. And yeah, so we're very remote. And if something was to go wrong, especially in the South Pacific where we are, it's you know you got to weigh some options up. You know, and touch wood, luckily we've never had an incident where something has happened, but we've always been able to avoid it. You know, like I say, like, you know, learn to live dangerously, safely. So, and yeah, well, that was you know, we got to the spot, we traveled, everybody's having a great day, all free diving. You know, like boys shot a couple of 60, 70, 80, even 90-pound wahoos. You know, everyone was stoked. We had 5 or 6 fish for the day. 5 o'clock rolls around, we're like, oh, okay, you know, can I ever go now? Everybody's chilling on the back deck, and we like literally boat just sitting there bobbing around. It was glass out day, and with a buddy of ours, Cameron was also on that trip. We rolled over the side, and I think
so. Like, you and Cameron are the guides.
Yep. We'll both
now the guides get to like.
Yeah, we got to play a little bit, you know.
Play a little bit.
Everybody's tuckered out. They've all, you know, been blown away from the day, shot all their fish, and
there's no sharks, right? Those don't exist over there.
No, they're all vegetarian, right? Yeah, we'll touch on that a little later. It's yeah, we rolled over the side. I don't think the boys never even got out of the boat. I think the lines were still coiled up in the boat, and you know the school rolls up. We'd been watching them swim by all day, and Cameron takes a swing at the first one that comes in, and yeah, it was, you know, it's 100-pound fish. He shoots that, tears off, and I sort of swim to the side of the school, and there's, you know, the one, like, oh, that's a good one.
So what did you just take your biggest breath?
Yeah, it wasn't my gun. Borrowed a gun from one of the clients. You know, leveled out. There he was. Came in, took a long shot. Like not even really, not you know, still, you know, yeah, it's there, but I'm gonna have a shot, but you know, not super keen to get it. Good shot right in the peck, and this thing, you know, like we've shot big tunas and doggies and stuff, and they'll rip floats down, and this wahoo, like 125 pounds, it took off and then buried a, you know, a single 3-atmosphere float for like 15 minutes, you know, and here I am, I'm paddling through the ocean, boat's half a mile away.
The float's just being sucked down.
Yeah, it was gone.
Yeah.
And yeah, I battled that fish for about 15, probably 17 minutes before I come back up into view, and by that point I'm, you know, like half a mile from the boat, no one else around, and it was like, okay, that's getting real. So, but yeah, all went well. There was a bunch of sharks about, but the fish was as big as the shark, so I was able to get it over them, and we got that one up and swam me back to the boat, and then I think Cameron and I both were back at the boat at the same time, and everybody, you know, like, wow, like you guys have been in there 5 minutes. So that was a big day. That was a really cool memory, and you know, yeah, like you said, that picture of that wahoo has circled the internet numerous times, and I don't think there's been a bigger one taken in Fiji yet. And I mean, I'd be surprised to see another one that big taken, to be honest.
How big is it? How big was that fish?
It was just under 60 kilos, so 125 pounds. Yeah.
Well, when I saw you today, I looked at you and I said, man, Jaga, you must be hitting the gym, or you're actually lifting a lot more fish.
Still lifting big ones, that's for sure. We're still getting big ones, so it's been fun. But man, like, no, that one was a serious one. I mean, we've had our shots at similar fish. I mean, you guys too. Like, I remember, you know, a big one rolled up on you one day. You know, you had a similar, you know, experience on that same spot.
Yeah.
We got there with who were we with that trip?
Neil and
was Mike. Dave with us? No,
Mike
it wasn't.
Mike was there, but then he had to go home for the hurricane.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you left early for that one, and we had you know, same thing. Like we're 50 miles from the spot. We had an insane day. We blasted out there, and I don't think I wasn't in the water yet. Like I'm still suiting up, and Judd rolls over the side and like starts screaming and yelling, and what's going on? And he rolls like 100-pounder before I get in the water. You know. Taught this kid well. So, but no, it's nothing beats it. The thrill of the hunt. That's what we do.
You really figured out how to make that fish look like a dinosaur, though.
Yeah. Well, it was a
dinosaur.
It is a dinosaur. Yeah, it's an old fish. Like, there's nowhere in the world they grow that big consistently. And I don't know what it is that gets them there. I don't know. They come back similar areas every year. The big giant fish are getting less and less and harder to find, but they're still there.
Yeah. And the only thing better than getting a fish like that is when you get back to the land, giving it to the villagers.
Man, the share, the moment that, obviously between us and the, that atmosphere on the boat when something like that happens, it's a rush that, you can't explain that rush with the boys. And it's been such a effort to get there and journey, and everything's against you, and then it happens. And then we take it back to these villages where, they run around in, longboats, and not even longboats, boats, outrigger canoes and stuff. And then they've lived there for generations after generation. They ain't never seen nothing like this.
Yeah.
So
they don't want to see a fish.
No, they don't, man. Like,
it's gonna break all their gear.
Lose all their stuff. The boys get around their hand lines. They're yanking on their hand lines and whatnot. So,
well, one of the first memories I have going to Fiji and going on these excursions with you is where you have to get blessed.
Mm-hmm.
And you go and you sit down with the chief, and you have all these big Fijians, and you're sitting down in this room, and they have to bless you in order to go fish in their waters. Yep. And what I remember is the chief sits there with the kava, and he takes this nasty, dirty sock, and he crunches it up, and you got to drink that kava, otherwise they're not going to let you.
That chief loves Jaga. Well, they all love Jaga, man. When they see this guy walking in to some Fijian island in the middle of nowhere, the whole neighborhood comes out to see you.
We're eating good, boys.
Yeah, we love that. The kava thing, that's their tradition, and it's how we pay respect in there, so we get in there, and that sort of invites us in. And once we're in there, and you drink it till you're on the floor, which is many a times, then you're welcomed in as one of theirs, and it really is like, I don't know how many times I've been offered, like, here, have this piece of property, like name our daughter's named after you, and, just from giving these guys all this fish, so it's a special place. It really is. It's one of the last frontiers, if you will, the untouched. It's still raw. It hasn't been ruined by the real world as such yet, which is really cool.
How'd you end up in Fiji?
Man, just chance, really. Obviously fishing, passion, diving, all that. That's what I did. That was me from a wee little fella, and I went over there actually just doing a construction gig. I was there sort of construction gig, and I definitely wasn't going until I found out what the fishing's like. So I was hitting up the boss. I'm like, I'll come, but have you got a boat? He's like, yeah, we got to add a little boat there. I said, all right, give me a couple of drums of fuel a week and Sundays off, and I'm there.
Wow.
And I did it. We just sort of found around that, and then worked my way around and got a bit of a gig on a bigger boat. I was working with them, ended up running his boat for a while, and sort of then that was about 4 years in, I think, and I'd really kind of fell in love with the joint by then, just with the fishing, and the lifestyle was unreal. And then I met my amazing, beautiful American wife, Heather, and that's when the business mind come into it, and she's like, dude, I took her out on an island, and lit the fire, speared the fish, built the tent, game over.
Game over. Right? She didn't have a chance.
Game over.
Yeah, she hates fish, but she pretended
she did that day, man. Yeah, she did that day.
She did that day, huh?
And then that's when we decided, she was really enjoying the lifestyle as well. She wanted to start her clothing company there, and she wanted to manufacture locally, and we're like, I'm from Australia, you're from the States, like, let's do it here, So we met in the middle and rallied through, and we actually came back here and bought our boat and set up our freedive company. And that's obviously, I think you were probably first or second year of business. We had you come over and start wrestling with the sharks from then on.
I mean, how many Sharknados have we had over there?
Gosh, man. Sharknado, the word Sharknado, I get that, or people that know Sharknado know Sharknado. But if you don't know Sharknado, think about it for a minute. It's it's 50 to 500 sharks at times. Absolutely in a ball, a mess that is just out of control feeding frenzy of like predators with their eyes rolled in their back of their heads and their mouths are just chomping anything that moves. Like, and there's nothing to do but back up and just admire it. Like you ain't getting, you're nothing. You're this big in the middle of the ocean, which, in that moment, it's wild. It's amazing. It's super, super cool. And then, we're obviously lucky enough we get this GoPro footage of it and these moments, and you look back on it and we share this stuff with people that aren't in the water at the moment, and it's just like they're all like, "What the? What's wrong with you guys?" But again, like that, one of those. That's part of it. That's completely part of it. But and pretty well with the stuff that we hunt, if there's no sharks there, we're in the wrong spot. So that comes with the territory. We want big predators.
We tend to bring them to us when we jump in the water with a big tuna carcass. And you have your knife, and you're just cutting pieces of tuna and throwing them into the water. And for Brett and I and whoever's in the water with us, we're standing by you. We're kind of like feeding off your energy. And if you're not scared, we're not scared.
That's it. Like,
and the sharks, we see them come. They come from the deep. So then they take one bite of the tuna, and then they come closer and closer and closer, and then all of a sudden they're like arm's distance away, and you're still there cutting fish, and I'm like, hey, Jaga,
does he know they're even there?
Can you push this shark away, because I don't really want to have to touch him.
Well, they fire them up, like the more we can get it fired up, the better, and that's sort of how we roll. And when they come up like that, I think I've spoke to you guys about it. It's like we sort of treat them like a dog. It's if it's coming close, you're pretty big with your gun and your fins and everything like that. Like you're a big thing in the water, so you balls up a little bit and
bump them off.
Yeah, bump them off. I mean, a lot of guys are like, oh, you got to poke this and poke that. I think in that situation you may be able to poke him and it deters it, but 90% of the time it just pisses them off. You poke him, he turns around like, and then you might get a reaction bite out of it, and that's what you don't want 100 miles out to sea, right? So we read them, and if it's time to get out of the water, we get out of the water. But most of the time we can read them pretty well, and
try not to poke them. What's the tip? What's the key? Right, a shark circling you.
Man. Learn to read them.
A shark circling you.
Yep.
There's blood in the water.
Yep.
What do you suggest somebody who's in the water in this circumstance? Read them? What does that mean?
Watch it. Just watch it. Be up front with it. Watch it. Like, don't turn your back. Don't swim away. Don't backpedal. Watch it and give it. Show it dominance. No matter how big it is. Like at least until you can wave to the boat or get a buddy in there. Like different species of sharks will react way different to. With us in the water, like the silkies, for example, like if there's one person in the water and two sharks, it's a bad thing.
It's a problem.
They literally gang up and circle and spin. But if there's two guys and one shark, like that thing is out of town, So it's each sharks are different. And with those pack of reef sharks, they're going crazy, and they're like a pack of angry chihuahuas. So their mouths are snapping like mad. You just step back and let them do their thing. Where if it's a big lazy tiger shark that's cruising around, and you watch him, you're dominant, you can stop him if you need to. He's not aggro, and it's all about their demeanor as well, and making sure that you keep yourself calm. Being comfortable while you're uncomfortable is the key.
Do those shark band things work? Have you seen anything with those shark bands?
It may work with a snorkeler off off the beach down here. When we're
have you had any personal experience?
I've had them been eaten. Like I've literally had them been eaten. We have had a couple of guys. We've tested them. We've baited them, and we've had obviously put those bands on bait as well, and it does zero to those sharks that are in feed mode. But we've also tested them when they're calm and you just swim past them, and they do, they're like, oh, that's a funny feeling. But sharks, they thrive off electronic pulses. So if you get one that's in the wrong mood, like that might it might fire him up more, like, so it's all a bit of a balance. But do they work in the right circumstance? Completely. When we're spearfishing, chumming blood, Sharknadoes, heck no.
Nothing stopping those.
No way. No.
Yeah.
Peace of mind. A lot of people just have them because of peace of mind, but sort of, that's here nor there.
So
do I wear one? No.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little. We talked about your Wahoo, the one that broke the internet.
Yep.
We don't have dogtooth tuna in our waters. What does a dogtooth tuna mean to you? Because that's a special fish.
That's what, I mean, that's the pinnacle right there, you know, like any sports fisherman or like that's the pinnacle of what we do. You know, they are the toughest fish to fight, to find, to hunt, to land, to call in. They're just elusive, big, bad fish. Again, like it's a trophy, like complete trophy. That's the pinnacle of the fish. And it's only someone that's had interactions with big ones will understand the mass of these things. Like you can see them in pictures and videos and stuff, and just the sheer bulk, the girth, the angry attitude in their eyes, the big teeth. You know, it's like a, you know, people big bluefin tunas and yellowfin tunas and stuff. You think of even a 200-pound yellowfin with the mentality of a rock cod. You know, this thing is badass. It's going into the coral. It's, you know, it's you know, a tuna that's going straight for a rock ledge, whether you've shot it in the face, hooked it on line. Like we've had them like running to the bottom and they're ripping their face off trying to get away. It's a challenge, you know. It's that, again, the thrill of the hunt. It's a challenge. It's the hardest fish to land. You've got everything against you. And they swim side by side with packs of sharks. So by the time you dive 90 feet on a single breath, get down there, compose yourself in between all the sharks, then pick out which one you want, pull the trigger. If it doesn't get absolutely Sharknadoed and end up reefing you in there, and then you got to stop yourself getting tangled in your gear and get back up 90 feet. And then you have a float to deal with that's tearing off back down and the sharks are chasing it. And then where's the boat? There's no other buzz like it. There's nothing else matters in the world at that moment. Nothing.
And the best time to get them is like right before dark.
Right.
So it's like,
Sun goes down.
You're already in the water. They tell you don't be in the water.
Yeah. Yep. As the sun's setting, golden hour, witching hour. Let's feed in time in the zoo. That's what we say. Yeah.
And so, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you're not laser focused in that moment, in that hunt, something really bad can happen.
Oh, and there's a million things bad that can happen. Like you need to have your back, and you guys need to have my back. It's all, you know, there's so many variables that can happen in low light, sharks, big fish, ropes, deep water, offshore. I mean, you don't need to explain that. That's
all while trying to stay calm.
All while keeping you cool and holding your breath for a couple minutes. You know, it's a lot. So it's something that you train to and you put so much effort into for that 30 seconds, you know. And then that moment on the boat when we get back on the boat, and you know that
you're on the water or in the water more than 99% of the population.
More than likely, yeah.
Is there still the one that you saw that you think about all the time?
Completely. A bunch, man. Like a bunch. A bunch. Like so many, like, you know, when something wasn't just quite right, like being able to control yourself and know that, you know, like I'm not in the right spot to take that shot right now. You know, like having that control is like, right, maybe it'll happen again, maybe it won't, but I know that fish is not gonna, you know, it's not dead, it's not wounded, it's still there. But there's been so many times, you know, like giant fish just, and times when you're just in awe of the situation of what's going on, when you completely forget that you're even hunting this fish, you know, like being in that world and in that zone in that moment, and like in a frenzy, like, you know, we've you know, when we recently had the Wahoo, like walls of Wahoo, like all 100-pounders, you know, like hundreds of them. And, you know, you don't even know where to shoot. It's just, wow, like you live in awe in that moment. And, you know, it's not only about shooting them, it's about the, you know, journey there as well. For
experience.
Sure. Well, you were there when Judd shot his record.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us that story?
Oh, just like the highs and lows of, you know, spearfishing, especially with you guys. I mean, like we, you know, we have it's not just a spearfishing trip. Like there's always a goal, you know, like, and to, you know, a spearfishing trip to go well is like everybody comes out with all limbs. We have a good time, you know, that's epic. But then when we throw in like, right, we want to get, you know, this fish this way to break a world record, you know, and that's a pretty big deal. And we plan it. And we're like, yep, we've got to go here. This is when, this is how we do it. Game on. The weather's right, you know, let's go and do it. And we did, you know, we did 3 days pretty solid chasing wahoos and things before this, and we failed, this broke, that broke, and it gets you down, like, and to get the morale back up in the boat, we'll use the guns again, we'll shoot a couple fish, and the morale comes up, and we'll go back to the pole spears, and we miss, and it's like, it gets frustrating, and it's a lot of effort. Like, I just flew from the other side of the world to come here, and like, I know you guys do the opposite to go there. It's like you go so far, and you obviously want to get the most out of it. And when you miss a couple of those fish, it's like, gosh, just give me the gun back and let's go, But he persisted. Like, we went up and down, up and down, up and down. And we have our techniques pretty down pat to where we need to place ourselves to be able to shoot an elephant with a toothpick, if you will. It's insane, spearfishing terms. And we did it. We had a slow morning. We decided to transfer over to the wahoos. We jumped in on the first spot, and they were thick. They were fired up, and we knew, like, now is the time to persist. Like, we have to keep going. And we we fumbled 3 or 4 times, and it all happened like that. It was like we found the right spot where we were. We found the right school. Get in and go. I think I missed the initial jump because it was so quick. Judd jumps in, and there they were, all in front of him. We had baits lined up. Judd was able to, pitch a bait to this fish, and it come racing straight at him. Like, again, his buoy was still in the boat. I remember picking his buoy up after I hear him, like, screaming, and this rope's going, and I just open the door and kick the float out of the back of the boat before it, like, stuff flies everywhere. And he rockets for the surface, like, I'm on. And he hit it. He hit this fish after a dozen misses and a dozen tore off. And I think we actually spined one, and then it didn't toggle, like, heartbreak. And to see you come up, like, the eyes was big as this, and it's like, it's happened. And then it was just chase, all the whole crew were all chasing, like, Judd swimming 100 miles an hour across the surface. Like, it was gone. I mean, this is a 100-pound fish on a string with a toothpick. Gone, and him swimming as far as we can. And it was probably, it was 20 minutes. Like, it was a long swim. And finally got there, and by the time we get caught up with Judd, he's completely just bombed down there, like, almost dying on the surface, and we're still
in a cramp.
Crammed up. And but the support group were all there. We're all ready. We're all waiting, like, watching, hoping, praying. You can see the fish down deep. It's on its side, like, there's very little flesh holding onto it. And he's got to do this on his own, like, it's a big deal. It's not a standard day where we all go down, we second shot the fish and high five, it's done, This has all got to be done by him. And it's like, right, we can see the fish there. Like, Judd, what are you going to do now, man? So he's got to load the second spear, hang on to it, and he swims down. And we're like, everybody's watching, everybody's quiet. And I think in the video, Clay's back video, and you see the shot go down, it's just dead silent. Obviously silence underwater, dead silence. And he gets down, and you can see, like, the slip tips just toggled under the skin of this fish, right?
Holding it.
Just under the skin, and it's just laying on its side. The fish is tired, but it's still swimming. And a lot of the times you swim down close to them, they one more kick, and you got no stretch left, that thing's gone, and we all, like, everything's quiet. He swims down and waiting, and you hear the thump from the second spear, boom, and then it was just fireworks, like, absolute fireworks, like, and that emotion, everyone, like, I could hear the skipper cooing from the boat half a mile away, like, it was epic. And we got on the boat, we knew it was big, but everyone has their guesses, like, yeah, maybe it's this, it's got to be that, it's going to be close, and obviously we're way out, we're nowhere near any real way station and stuff, so we've got to go and hang it out of a coconut tree. So we have our scales, we go in, we set it up on the scales, and I think it surprised all of us. It hit the scales, and then it was just there was tears there at some point, man. It was wild.
That's great.
It's an unbelievable feeling to have you guys come so far and work so hard, and and it happens. It's just like, really, fuck, man, like, it happened. And we've done it twice. we did a dogtooth, and we've done a big wahoo. So what's next?
We're just happy to hang with you.
Yeah. No,
coming back
big, man.
whole. That's what's next.
That's it, back with all our learning.
That's it. Yeah.
One thing we take from you, besides the adventures and putting us on all the big fish, is that appreciation, like we talked about earlier, for the villagers and
Yeah.
where it all comes from, that humility.
Yep.
And then the appreciation of just being in the ocean and taking care of Mother Nature. I know you have 3 beautiful kids, and you're already teaching them the ways of the ocean.
Completely.
And how important is conservation to you?
Oh, I mean, we, as like spear fishermen, like it is the most selectable way of getting seafood. You know, like we take one fish, and what I've seen, you know, there's no word for how important conservation is for the fishery. What I've seen, even around Fiji being as remote as it is in the last 20 years, not the impact that even the local community has, the impact of the commercial guys that are fishing 200 miles around the islands, that, you know, it just stops the whole chain, you know, and it's one little thing. Everybody think, oh, it's never going to make a difference. Like one little thing way out there will affect a monstrosity in around these islands. Like it really does. It's taken a sad turn almost, in regards to how it was 20 years ago, with not so much the amount of fish, but it's just, they're so much more spread out, I guess, if you will. Like we're having to travel a lot further, go more remote to find what we used to be able to find on our doorstep, you know, and that's an obvious outcome of, you know, the bad things that are going on offshore. You know, like there's some horrific things that are going on, and some people that I've, you know, worked with in the industry that have, you know, connections in that world, and, you know, I've seen firsthand what happens offshore on those boats. It's
not like it's the villagers, right? Because they can't get to these types of fish or collect that much quantity, catch that much quantity. It's all these commercial vessels from whether it's China, Japan, that are just taking the
overfishing. Yeah, it's just the dollar is so powerful there with the overfishing, and these governments of small islands, they can't turn down a dollar, and whether it's legal or not legal, they're coming in there and they're fishing. Like the Korean boats, the Persenas, come from like even from Ecuador. They come down and they'll seine in through the Pacific, and actually, like one of the pilots that I work with on the island, he was a chopper pilot for one of these commercial boats, and they would deploy drift fads with sounders on them, with big depth sounders that allow some guy in an office in Korea to see how much tonnage is under this drift fad.
Wow.
And then they'll send a boat to that location and just everything, you know. It's insane.
Not to mention the long lines that we see with the
long line,
brand new hooks, fresh ballyhoo, miles and miles of baits, just killing, you know, indiscriminately.
Yeah, it needs to be zoned. Completely needs to be zoned more. Like, you know, places like, I mean, the Coral Sea now in Australia, east coast of Aussie, it's so heavily policed, and I just recently done a trip there. It was epic. You know, you can dive this area this year for the next 5 years. You know, this one's closed, and they just keep rotating it. And man, the reef was incredible. Like I was so pleased to see it. Like I haven't dove there for probably 15 years and went back just recently last year, and it was amazing. So,
well, besides us, Judd and I, what other like famous people have you?
We get a few daredevils, you know. Sort of the guys that want us, you know, stretch out the legs a little bit. I just recently done a few trips with you know, country singer Zac Brown. Okay. So he's a legend. He's super cool. He's a diehard spearo as well, like not afraid of the sharks and wants to get in there. And we've done a bunch of stuff with him, shooting wahoos and big mackerel. Actually, you'll probably see some stuff on I think it's season 50 on Survivor. So we just did a couple of scenes there for season 50 in Survivor where he was you know, I'll leave that, you know, to who wants to see it, but you know,
should we expect you to be in like one of his next songs?
Yeah, not quite. I might be one of the in the back props or something, but no, he was super cool, and yeah, we've done a bunch with some guys. Like, luckily enough, I've been able to, you know, base myself in a pretty cool spot in Fiji now on Kokomo, and you know, they get a lot of celebrity people and names coming through and fishing and holidaying and stuff. We you know, I had Christian Bale catch a big old doggy. That was kind of cool, you know, catching a doggy with Batman. That goes down well.
That's great.
A couple of pictures with him with a big old fish, and that was fun. Recently had old Snoop Dogg on.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, that was
cool. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So
Well, you're a celebrity in our world, man. Thanks for joining us on the show.
For sure.
Thanks for keeping all our limbs together.
This is great. Thank you, Jaga.
Thanks, Jaga.